I can, like, all I think about when somebody says breastfeeding is like sexualized or like you're making it sexual is all I can think about is you guys remember the Carl's Jr. commercials where the girl is cleaning the car. It has nothing to do with hamburgers and her boobs are all over this, like the windshield. Come on.
Yeah.
You can do better.
Well, and it's because society has sexualized our bodies so much, right? So yeah, that is okay. Society, like we're okay to walk in a swimsuit. We go to a pool and it's completely normal to see a woman in a 2-piece bathing suit, which is fine. Like that's how it should be. But the moment she attaches a baby to her breast, which is crazy because at that moment, you're actually covering more of your breast than if you were wearing a triangle bikini. You know what I mean? Like the baby's head is covering the boob completely in its whole entirety.
Hello, sister. I'm so glad you're here. You are listening to the Daily Mom Trip Podcast, and I am your host, Jessie Truelove. As a double C-section mom who found her message through her own mess of postpartum, it is my mission to help mamas like you restore function in your body and trust in your gut. I'm a huge believer that mama knows best, and my hope is that through these meaningful conversations, you find tools that resonate and help you mother the way that feels true to you. This episode is with Lindsay, mother of 3, Allie, Coda, and Frankie. She is the badass entrepreneur behind the Little Milk Bar on social media, a brand that empowers breastfeeding moms, giving them the confidence to feed their baby whenever and wherever they need to. This is a brand that I have been supporting since 2018 when I first became a mom myself, and it has been amazing to watch this brand grow into the powerhouse that it is today. Lindsay has a message that I stand behind, and I'm so excited to share our conversation. Let's dive into the show.
Okay, you guys are in for a treat for the Daily Mom Trip Podcast today. We have the one, the only, the Little Milk Bar founder. Lindsay is on today. I'm so excited to chat with her. I am an OG Little Milk Bar fan, and we're just going to dive into all of the things. Okay, so Lindsay, can you just introduce us to who you are and how the Little Milk Bar came into fruition in 2018? That's when I first started following you.
So I'm Lindsay. I'm married. I live in Salt Lake, Utah, and I have 3 kids, Allie, Coda, and Frankie, all in that order. Allie's 10, Coda's 5, Frankie's 1. And I started the Little Milk Bar in 2018. And it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to narrow it down as much as possible. So when I had my daughter, Allie, 10 years ago, I breastfed her for about 18 months and it was so hard. I hated it. It was not fun. I was always scheduling my day around feeding her. We were at restaurants. I would leave the restaurant and go feed in my car. And I felt isolated all of the time. I felt like I was just in a private room all the time by myself with the baby feeding her. And so when I found out I was pregnant with Coda, I decided to have more confidence with that time. I was like, I am not going to hide feeding. Like I need to go on with my life. I want to still connect with my friends and have dinners and not feel like I'm alone. So changing that mindset with my confidence completely changed everything for me. I nursed him till he was almost 2, and I loved every second of it. I don't feel like it took away any part of my life. I would just be at barbecues and he'd get hungry, and instead of leaving to go feed in a room, I would stay continue on with my conversation and feed him. And it's more enjoyable. I was like, oh, I don't feel like I'm just a mom all the time. So I was at a wedding and I was breastfeeding him, and my mom walked over to me and she said, "Do you really think you should be doing that here? Maybe you should go to the bathroom and feed him." And I remember just looking at her and thinking, oh man, if she had said this to 5 years ago, Lindsay, I would have been mortified, gotten right up from my chair, went straight to the bathroom in tears, so embarrassed, and fed her there. And I just kept thinking, I'm so thankful I'm not that Lindsay anymore, and I have the confidence. So instead, I just looked at her and I said, no, thanks, we're comfortable where we're at. And on the drive home, and I to my husband, and I'm like, I want to be that best friend for every breastfeeding mom out there, to just give them permission, because sometimes we don't even know. We just think we have to go in a private room because that's what we were taught or that's what we saw. We don't know our legal rights. We just think that if someone tells us we can't feed here, that we listen to what they say. And so I'm like, sometimes you just need that friend. So I was like, I want to start a brand that empowers all of these women and just give them permission to feed their baby whenever and wherever they need to. And that is how it was born.
That's so incredible. And what do you have information? I know there's probably places that moms can go look, but I think just having, just like what you said, like knowing what your rights are and knowing that you don't have to just do what other people are comfortable with, can be so empowering just to know that, right? Even if nobody is around you, just to know what your rights are. What are mom's rights? Is there like a blanket rule, like across the United States? Is there even a law? Do we need a law? Like, what is it?
We need a freaking law is what we need. Technically, so all 50 states now, just since 2019, I think, was Idaho and Utah were the last two states being out. They finally put in law that women, parents can breastfeed in public, and it's their legal right. So all 50 states does say that, although there is not one federal law that blankets across and protects all parents breastfeeding, and that's a problem. So it's really, it does go state by state. So technically you have the right, but every state does have like different stipulations in there. And so we really need to work on getting a federal law that's blanketed across that protects breastfeeding parents, because it's just not okay that there's not. It's like, how are we in 2023 and this is not a thing?
I know. You know, I can, like, all I think about when somebody says breastfeeding is like sexualized or like you're making it sexual, is all I can think about is you guys remember the Carl's Jr. commercials where the girl is cleaning the car. It has nothing to do with hamburgers and her boobs are all over this, like the windshield, and you're like, the view is like inside of the car, and like, but that's okay. But that's on TV. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I feel like some people would just be so offended if they saw a breastfeeding mom like on a commercial on TV, but like, that's not offending. Come on.
Yeah.
You can do better.
Well, and it's because society has sexualized our bodies so much, right? So yeah, that is okay in society. Like, we're okay to walk in a swimsuit. We go to a pool and it's completely normal to see a woman in a 2-piece bathing suit, which is fine. Like, that's how it should be. But the moment she attaches a baby to her breast, which is crazy because at that moment, you're actually covering more of your breast than if you were wearing a triangle bikini. You know what I mean? Like, the baby's head is covering the boob completely in its whole entirety. But when we're at the beach and we see somebody in a swimsuit, we don't even like blink. We don't even think about it. But the moment they have a baby on there, all of a sudden, it's just not okay. And it's because that's how it's been forever and ever and ever. So like, that's why, you know, the Little Milk Bar exists, is so we can little by little try and help change that one person at a time. I mean, I say the more normal, or the more you see of something, the more normal it becomes. So like, hopefully that's what we're doing for the world.
Yeah, exactly. Why, I know you just kind of like touched on this, but why is this message so important to share? Besides, like, I feel like the more we see it, the more it's talked about, the more normalized it is. But why do you feel like this is so important for you to like choose this message to share with the world? Why is it so important to you?
Because it's, before the Little Milk Bar existed, I didn't know of any other brand who openly talked about breastfeeding like this. And that's the thing that kind of got like built a fire under me, is there's so many breastfeeding brands out there, like pumping bags, breastfeeding bag, like storage bags, all of these things. And like, as much as they were there to be a breastfeeding brand, I didn't see anybody supporting breastfeeding moms. Like, none of them were openly talking about this. None of them have commercials out there showing a mom pumping. No one was out there showing the mom breastfeeding. And it's for so many reasons, right? It's one reason is so important because we want to help change the mind of some people. Hopefully someone who's against breastfeeding, like my mom, okay, she was not against breastfeeding, but she was breastfeeding in public. She didn't like the idea of it. She was raised that you don't do it in public. You're polite and you go do it somewhere in private. So when she made that comment to me, she didn't realize, like, that's how she thought. But now
that it carried.
Now she's my biggest supporter. So with her seeing this brand and me putting out this content and information and education, after so many years, now her mind has realized, wow, there is no problem with this. Like, what was this problem? Why was I ingrained with this in my mind? So one, the reason is to help change people's minds and see it for what it is, recalibrate their mind to how it should have been in the beginning.
Right.
And two, to help moms postpartum. I mean, postpartum is already so hard. We get baby blues. We have postpartum depression. We feel alone. We're just sent home with this baby and we don't know what we're doing. And it's hard. And put breastfeeding on top of that and feeling isolated all the time, and you can't leave the house. It's already hard enough to leave the house with a new baby and or with a toddler even, let alone feeling like you have to leave in the small windows that they're awake and not eating. That is so hard. Or feeling that you have to pump before you leave the house. And so just living that peace of mind, like it was a huge relief off my shoulders the moment I realized, oh, I don't have to do all of that extra stress on top of me. I can just feed when I need to. Right. And so that message to moms is just so important, and partners, for to support their breastfeeding partner it's important.
Right. Absolutely. And like we're both learning when you're learning how to breastfeed, like baby's figuring out what to do. And it's like awkward for you because your boobs are huge, like full of milk and rock hard. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then like, you're really fumbling around with that thing. It's like a cantaloupe and you're like choking the baby with all your milk. And at least I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And every time I would go out, I felt like all eyes were on me, like everybody was watching me. What is she doing underneath that blanket? And I've watched your brand and your message grow so much, and it is so incredibly empowering. And even like the messages that I got from my community of having you on the podcast, they're just so excited. They're like, they have changed that brand, and Lindsay has changed my experience breastfeeding as a mom and being able to feel empowered and to feel like what I'm doing is not, dirty or this little thing that I have to go do behind closed doors. And I don't know, I feel like you're making such a big wave in this space. And when you give moms permission, like the permission that they didn't need, they really don't need it, but they feel like they need it, and when you give them that, it allows them to give permission to other moms too. And I feel like that's the trickle effect. That's the ripple effect, and it's just incredible.
Hey sister, let's talk about skincare that really works and doesn't leave you feeling like you've got buyer's remorse. I'm talking about Dime Beauty. These products are made from clean ingredients, are vegan, cruelty-free, and contain no harsh chemicals. Dime products are also ranked between a 1 and a 3 on the EWG toxicity scale. As I'm sure you already know or have heard, fragrances can be harmful to the skin and clog your pores, so of course, Dime Beauty products are fragrance-free, which I totally appreciate. My favorites are the mascara, Hyper Glow Vitamin C Serum, and the TBT Serum. It's honestly the best clean mascara I've ever used, and trust me, I've tried them all. Dime Beauty is a budget-friendly, vegan, and cruelty-free option for fantastic skincare. Their packaging is glass, making them eco-friendly, and they offer returns up to 60 days, as well as free shipping on U.S. orders over $49, and you can use my code TRUELOVE20 at checkout to save 20% on everything, including bundles. That's code TRUELOVE20 at checkout. TRUELOVE20 at checkout. Now, let's get back to the show.
So on this ripple effect, nipple effect, can you spill any of the tea of what's happening with censorship on your Instagram account? It's wild. They keep on taking down your photos of nipples and milk and breastfeeding moms. Like, what is going on? Like, I know I've seen some wild stuff on IG and TikTok, and it's up. It's not getting taken down, but you put a baby with a breastfeeding mom and all of a sudden you're breaking all kinds of rules.
Yeah, it's so annoying because we thought we were past this. Like in 2019, we did a big petition. Like when I first started the brand, it was so hard because we would spread our message through social media. And at that time, it was against our community guidelines to post breastfeeding in general at all. Like would immediately take them down. So that was a real big struggle. So we put together a petition, and we got like 40,000 signatures within like a few weeks. Yeah, it was because people are pissed, right? This is something that should not even be a thing. So we did the petition. We got a little bit of noise there. We did get some policies changed. And then in 2019, they changed their community guidelines to allow photos of breasts if they're breastfeeding. So breastfeeding photos can now be legal on Instagram. So we were like, oh, great. Like, this has been awesome. But then all of a sudden, like, I swear this last year, it's like happening again. So we're like, what is going on here? So we posted a photo of, I'm feeding Frankie on one breast and the other breast is leaking milk. So it's dripping milk. And to me, it's important for the world to see a breast in its natural habitat.
Doing the thing it's supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we have nipples. That's why they exist, so we can feed our babies. It's like we scroll through Instagram or social media and we see all of this sexual content and these breasts in a sexual manner, which women's body is beautiful. I love it, but there's a double standard there. So 100%. It's like, we can't show this sexual version of it and not this version of it that is motherhood. That's not okay. What are we teaching young girls? What are we teaching our young boys that are on social media and only seeing our breasts in one way? Mm-hmm. So I posted that. It was a beautiful caption. It got so much engagement with people interacting back and forth with each other, sharing their stories about leaking milk. A lot of the times when you're a new parent, you don't even know that you leak breast milk through your boob. So it was like a big conversation that needed to be had. And then Instagram took it down for sexual content. Over and over and over and over again, and they keep denying it, which is really unfortunate. So they just keep saying, at first I thought, oh, it's just a bot. Like, it's just a machine who sees boobs, so they took it down, and then once human eyes get on it for our appeal, they'll totally put it back up because they'll see. And then they still, the hard part is in their community guidelines, it says breastfeeding, a breast can be shown if it's shown in breastfeeding form. So in that photo, I'm literally leaking milk from my breast, but they're saying that it's not breastfeeding form. And they're like, how much more breastfeeding form can you get?
I'm literally lactating all over you.
Yes.
What in the world?
That's the thing. And we're hoping it changes. I mean, we just have to keep fighting. We can't just give up. If it's not us, it's going to be someone else. And I'm willing to take on that fight. So
yeah, that is wild. No, good on you. And what a powerful message, because you literally are standing up for moms. And, I don't know. And kind of like how you were saying with like the pumping brands, like they are supporting mothers that are lactating, but not really supporting the breastfeeding moms, and like showing that. And I feel like there's this weird thing around the things that are like the most natural are like the things that are the most shamed. And like breastfeeding past a certain age, or breastfeeding once a baby has a tooth or too many teeth for somebody's standards, or breastfeeding in public. It's like wild. Or like breastfeeding on demand or breastfeeding through the night. It's like, these are all the things that are like biologically normal, and they're just not supported in the ways that I think everybody feels like they are. Because it's like, if we say that breastfeeding is good, then we're shaming formula. But that's not true. It's like, we just want to give all of the information to moms that want to breastfeed. And I think that, and that goes along with like knowing your rights, knowing, what you really are allowed to do and what you should stand up for yourself for. Now, for instance, if somebody is like in a restaurant and somebody that works at the restaurant says that they can't do that here, what is your advice to that mom?
Just look at them and say, thanks, we are comfortable where we're at. And I have a legal right to breastfeed here if you would like to. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know, everybody's different. I will say I'm very seasoned in it because it's happened a lot to me, and I have a little bit more confidence, I feel, but it can be scary for that first time mom.
Yeah.
So if you're a first time mom and somebody tells you that, the first thing is if you have your partner with you, this was important for me at the beginning. I would tell my husband, Pete, like, hey, we're going into, Cheesecake Factory. We're going to eat. The baby's going to get hungry. I'm at the table. Like, having this conversation beforehand was important. I would say, I'm going to need your support in there if somebody says something. So then your partner knows that you plan to feed, knows that you may be nervous, and they're on guard and ready to have your back if you need it. And so if someone walked over and can't do that, I would say, you're eating your meal, I'm eating mine, and she's also eating hers.
Yeah.
We're all here to eat. It is my legal right to feed my baby right here. But thank you for your concern. If you don't like it, you can, change tables and you don't have to watch. Like, just don't look.
Right.
I'd get to the point where it's like, if you have a problem with this, call the police. Like, go ahead. Take longer out of your day, stay longer at shift. This is really what you want to do because I'm not moving.
You are barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
You picked the wrong one. Yeah. So important to have your partner, your husband, or whoever, like, or just even a friend with you, like if you go somewhere with your girlfriends, it can literally be anybody. And just knowing that you have your people in your corner, and it's happened to us too. And especially in the beginning, like now I don't even feed with a cover, and I've gotten really good at just, you don't see anything, you see more in a bikini. And like we'd have people like staring or looking or giving us dirty looks, and my husband would literally just like stare into their soul. Like, you have something to say? Because like you could say it to me if you want. But you just leave the baby out of this. But yeah, like I've gotten those looks because I'll breastfeed anywhere. And I literally can do it in any outfit now without a cover. It's like, you just learn this. It's like this crazy magic trick that you just, like, the skill that you keep on building on.
It's important to remember, like, I know that it can be scary, especially for those first few times, but if you just focus on you and baby and don't worry about everyone else.
Yeah.
Remember that most people don't care. Most people aren't watching you. You feel like as soon as you are ready to feed them, you feel like the whole room's staring at you. And I promise you that's not happening. I promise you probably no one's even looking.
Yeah.
And two, just remember that your baby's basic needs come before any stranger's opinion. Like, when you break it down that way, you're like, do I care what that lady over there is saying? Or do I care that my baby is literally starving right now and needs to eat in order to survive? And when you break it down to those simple facts, it's almost impossible for you to care what Susan over there thinks.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I love that. Can you, so you've started this whole business from, I'm guessing it started in your home, because that's how most momtrepreneurs start. They start out of their house, and I see the little Milk Bar headquarters behind you with all the pink and the fun wallpaper and everything. But do you have any tips for the momtrepreneurs that are listening, that want to start their own business, that have their babies that are home with them, and they feel like they have that fire in their belly like you do, and you did, to start something? What's your advice for them?
Know that it's not going to happen immediately. It happens slow, and I hate when you hear like the overnight success stories, because when you pull behind that curtain, it's never overnight success. It's always like 3-4 years of struggle before like they were in that spotlight, but we never hear that 3-4 years before. It's always, we hear, once they are successful, we start hearing about that story. So it took a long time for me to get to where I was, and a long time for me to figure out what my niche was. Like, when I first started, I actually had an Etsy brand where I was cut and sewing baby leggings.
Okay.
And I was selling that. It was like 3 or 4 years before I figured out that happened at that wedding. And I was like, this is what needs to happen. So I rebranded into the Little Milk Bar and focused only on breastfeeding. And then we started to see a little bit of traction go there. Know that like when you're first starting, you have momentum, but like your path can change, and that's okay. Like just go with what your gut tells you and know that it's not going to happen overnight. If it does, I applaud you. And like it can happen, and that's amazing. You're so lucky. But just know that 99.9% of the time, it's a very slow process. Just find something that you love and you're passionate about, because otherwise that slow process is going to be really hard to go through. You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to not do it. You're going to want to go get a real job because it's not working out. But if it's something that you're passionate about, you know that the world needs and you know needs to exist, then you are willing to go through that struggle to get over that hill.
Totally. It's like planting seeds. There's a season of planting. It's not the same season that you get to bear those fruits, and if you don't really see the value in the fruits at the end, it's going to be a really long winter and a really long wait, and there's usually there's pests and storms and all these things that you have to like weather. But if you hold out and keep chipping away at your goals and your passion and planting those seeds, then you have this beautiful forest and beautiful bloom at the end. And the Little Milk Bar is such a great representation of that, in my opinion, because you have such an engaged following. They just love everything that you are putting out. And I think it's just because it's such a genuine mission that you have, and your passion just kind of like oozes out of you. And it's something, like you said, before you, there wasn't really any other brand to doing this and supporting specifically breastfeeding, lactating moms the way that you do. And it's been really, really fun to watch. Cause like I said, you guys, the podcast won't be able to see it, but YouTube will be able to see it. I've got the OG boob blanket in the background. It was, and even using this, it was a little bit like pushing boundaries, especially like in the town that I'm in. I'm in a tiny town in the panhandle of Oklahoma. We're very like we're from California, but we moved here for college 7 or 8 years ago at this point, and everybody's very reserved. So you always get the older people like looking and like, can't you do that in your car? Like whatever. And then to put it on, to like on top of breastfeeding in public, I've got this blanket that has boobs in every shape and size. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it in my car. And you can still look at boobs while I do this,
Yes. I love it. That is exactly why it exists, is for that reason.
Give them something to look at,
Yeah. And we have a great engaged community, but like I feel like the relationship is mutual. So like as much as they love and feel supported from us, like I feel like we love them just as much, and we're so thankful for their support as well. And I think that's what sets our brand apart, is that we don't run like a regular company. Like we run like our community is our best friends. Right. We will literally like do anything for you guys. If we hear that a mom is struggling, like we might do something special for them. Or, oh my gosh, yesterday, this is the coolest story. I don't know if you saw our Instagram stories, but we have a text club community where we will send to our text club like when we have new releases. And a mom accidentally replied to our text and said, hey, can you grab cilantro? I forgot some. And she was texting it to her partner, but she accidentally sent it to us. So Tati saw the post, the text message. And so we Ubered her some cilantro and a bouquet of flowers.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
We're like, we do read the messages. We do see the DMs. We do see the comments. We may not be able to respond to all of them, but like we really do genuinely, we don't treat it like a business. Like we treat it like we're just hanging with our best friends. And that mom was stuck at home, needed cilantro for her soup. So we sent her some. And it's just like, what other, like people just, other companies don't connect with their people like that.
I literally just got the chills. That is like, and it's so, that just like so special. It's like so real, really, literally like your best friend, just like showing up with cilantro and flowers. Like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Mama, I got you." And you know, I see it all the time. Like you're sending out the bomb baths, or you're sending out a sweatshirt, or, you know, like a boob blanket, or like whatever. You're always giving back. And, you know, it helps lower that barrier of like, you're just another big account. You know, it's like we're real
Yeah.
people back here. And I feel like it's so easy for people to see an account with a larger following, or, you know, whatever. And people do it all the time. They just like, they'll send messages without thinking, or they, you know, the trolls and all these things. It's like, there's real people back here, and I'm going to send you some cilantro for your soup. It's so cute. I see that you're wearing your newest release, which you need to get that. It's so fun. Can't be censored. Blackout, milk on tap.
Okay, what can I talk? I was talking to
us
Scott
anything?
about before. I'm like, what can I share? Okay. We are coming out with an alumni merch collection in
Ooh.
March, which is for
Okay.
anyone, and you can even get it while you're breastfeeding, because at some point you won't be anymore, but
Right.
it's just something that you can have forever to show support for the breastfeeding community.
Yeah.
So we've got the alumni collection coming out next month. We have, what else did I say we could? Oh, for our birthday, I've never really celebrated the Little Milk Bar's birthday, which I don't know why, but it is in April. So in April, we're going to be doing a fun event here in Utah with a fun little secret drop, limit, like I can't say too much, but that's
okay. Yeah, no, that's fine.
One more thing. What else did I say? Did I say something up? Oh, new colors of the Alley bras.
Yes.
Our postpartum like bras. They are taking over the world, which I love, because after I had my baby, it was so hard to find something comfortable. Like you just want to be naked, you know,
Yeah.
you want to be naked after you have the baby, and you can't because you're leaking it everywhere. So you need to be able to use your pads. So you have to have something that holds. But like nursing bras are so constricting and tight, and like how these
They
things,
are the
and
worst.
they're great.
Nursing bras are literally the worst. Like, who are they designed by? Like, who is making these?
So uncomfortable. And then if they have like relaxing ones for at home, they look like something my grandma would wear.
Yes.
So came out with a really cute bra, which is named after my firstborn, Allie, and we released them, and postpartum moms are just loving them. And not even like, I have friends that don't even have kids, and they're wearing them because they're so cute that you could just wear them as a crop top, like a very cute jacket.
Yes. It's so funny because I have my mom core like fitness community, and one of my moms was like checking in and sending in a picture of her workout, and she's wearing the Alley bra, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, is that the Alley bra?" They knew exactly what it was. It was so cute.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So we have new colors of those coming in. So throughout the year, we have some really fun things. It's hard because they just keep selling out. And I swear I'm not doing it on purpose, you guys. I feel bad. Like we're ordering so many items, and they just sell out so quickly. So then every new order, we're just adding more colors too. So that's a big one. We have a few other fun things that are coming. I was like, for a second, I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't see the back of my.
No, I definitely can't read back there.
We have our whole year planned out, and we have some really amazing things. I will just say lastly that we're starting to introduce core essential products that breastfeeding mothers need, that other companies haven't thought about yet. So just keep an eye out for that.
I am keeping my eyes peeled. I'm so excited about the alumni brand, because I feel like everything is very like milk present, you know? So I think like having something like, oh, I was a breastfeeding mom, that you can like kind of wear after, and it really like says it. I think that's going to be so fun. And I love that you guys came out with like stuff for the dads to wear and like the partners to wear. That is so fun too. Just like all around breastfeeding positive front. I love it.
Well, we listened to our community. Our community reached out like a lot, and they were like, my partner really wants to show support, but they're not a milk maker, you know? So it was like, okay, what can we do? And so we came out with a small collection for them that they could wear to just show support for their partner.
That's so amazing. And okay. So there's going to be some people that have seen this on TikTok, on your IG, but we are getting the full lowdown here. And I'm just like so interested to know the details. Can you tell us about your little trick that your armpit can do?
Yes. Okay. So actually everybody has their milk glands run all the way up into your armpits, and it's called the tail of Spence. If you are a new mom or you're going to be a mom and you didn't know this, like, this is such important information to know because nobody teaches us this. So your milk glands run all the way into your armpits. So they can get clogged, they can leak. And this was all news to me. I was feeding my daughter, Allie, and all of a sudden her head was soaking wet. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I thought she was sweaty. And then I just followed the trail and I realized, oh my gosh, I am leaking milk from my armpit. And I was like, what's happening? I'm like, oh my God, Pete, I have a third nipple that I didn't know about. I was like all worried. I go to the doctor and she's like, you don't have a third nipple. My doctor was great, because I'm finding out from that post going viral on TikTok that a lot of doctors don't even know about this. And they're like, you need to go get checked for cancer. I mean, you should always get checked if you have this, always go get checked. But anyways, my doctor was like, you don't have a third nipple. Your milk clots run into your armpits. You are lucky that yours leaks, because if it doesn't, you can get mastitis in your armpits and it can get very painful. It was the size of a golf ball. And if you pressed on it, milk would legit squirt out. Like, it was crazy. And it did get painful. It would get incredibly engorged.
Yeah.
And so while I would feed her, I would have to have my husband come behind me with the rag and just massage my armpit to get it out, because it was so incredibly painful. Like, it was so bad. I would just have to release it every now and again. But yes, I've had 2 more kids since then. And every time I have my babies, when I'm pregnant, it starts to get engorged again. And then while I'm breastfeeding, yes, it leaks milk. And I actually have more than one. I have 3 spots under my right armpit and 2 spots under my left, and they all leak milk.
Oh my goodness. And so, like, what are the odds of like us having this? Like, I feel like you're 1 in a million. You're like the only person I've ever heard talking about this, literally ever.
Well, it's funny because when I first did my TikTok, I was, to be honest, when I first found out about it, I was so self-conscious about it and I was like embarrassed about it. But now I'm like seasoned. I'm on my 3rd kid. I don't give a crap. I'm like,
Yeah.
more information we can get out there to all of these parents, because they don't know anything. So they're not left in the dark and they're not scared. If they have the same thing, I'm just going to do it. So I remember doing the post and it went viral. It went crazy. We ended up going on the doctor's TV show because they were like so intrigued by it. But I was so surprised to see how many people commented and was like, oh my gosh, I have the same thing. I thought I was a mutant. It is so good to see that somebody else has this. So I think people are coming out of the woodworks because they're seeing the video, which is so awesome. Like, we want people to be able to talk about this and not be embarrassed, and just know your best friend may have had the same thing, but they never mentioned it because they were too embarrassed.
Right.
So I think most mothers have it, but there are a lot more that do have it that we don't realize.
Yeah, totally. What was going on the doctor show like to talk about your armpit? Like, did they make you squirt milk out on set or what?
No, I was actually pregnant, so I wasn't like truly lactating through it yet. If I pushed on it, no milk was coming out. But it was like big and it was there. And so it was interesting to go on the doctors. I was interested for a few reasons. There was a lactation consultant that came on as well, which was great because they could ask her all the medical questions. But I was surprised when we went on that there were 3 of the doctors up on the panel and they were all men. And I was like, this is interesting. They don't have any women here when they're here talking about women. Like, what? And then they were just weird about it, which I'm like, you're a doctor. Like, you should not be weird. Like, you're not supposed to be weirded out about anything. Like, they talked about it like normal, but I could tell like their expressions were kind of like, I didn't love it. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
They weren't as open to it.
Well, it's like, hello, if the doctors, well, it's like, and it's TV, they're trying to like sensationalize everything, but
right.
You know, like I feel like moms aren't like coming to their doctors with all of these things because they're even embarrassed or like scared of what their doctor is gonna say or like being judged or shamed or like whatever. And that's just like another good example. Like they don't have to say something for you to get that vibe, you know, that they're weirded out by whatever it is that you're going through.
It would have been a great opportunity for them to put out like more information. I mean, they did ask the lactation consultant and she was able to give lots of information, but it would have been great to hear it from a doctor and especially 3 men on the panel. They could have been like, wow, this is like a completely normal thing we didn't even know about. You know, they could have been so cool about it. They weren't bad about it by any means, except for one question did bug me. They asked, can you feed the baby breast milk from your armpit, like the milk that's coming out? And all the doctors, the men doctors, they were all like, no, we would not advise that. I mean, it's under your armpit, it's unsanitary. And I'm just looking at them like, what? Like, you realize that boobs sweat too?
Yeah, what
like,
the heck?
How is that any different than your armpit? Like, it's really the same thing. Like, I didn't love that answer that they gave. I'm like, you guys don't know anything.
Well,
Yes,
yeah, because then it's
milk.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's just like,
It's the same
like,
milk.
yeah. And why would like, just like you said, like, are there not female doctors on that show? Like those men are like literally not relatable at all to the topic.
That's why I was so weirded out by it. I'm like, this is interesting. They could have like made this really good. They just brought me on as like their shiny new toy, like to present to the world, like show and tell, and like kind of gave some information, but also kind of like was laughing about it. And it's like, yeah, it's funny. Like I totally get that. But we had a great opportunity to give so much more information and education there. And
yeah, 100%. Gosh, that's wild. Okay. So the armpit is like such a luck of the draw that you got that. And what, I mean, I know it's kind of like a pain for your husband to come and like help you with your armpit milk duct also, but like you have the perfect platform to share the message and share that you're like, you know, of anybody breastfeeding brand like has this.
I'm like, I guess I was born for this. This is why
Thank gosh you moved out of like making baby leggings because this is actually what you were born to do. Okay, so I ask these 2 questions to all of my guests that come on the podcast. And the first one is, what would your number 1 piece of advice be that you'd give to yourself as yourself now, looking back as your first time self mom? So first time mom self, what would your advice be to her?
My advice would be to not care what anybody else thinks, and nobody knows what they're doing. Because I think when you're a first-time mom, you're so worried about doing everything right. This is how I'm supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do 3 naps during a day? We're Googling how often your 3-month-old should be waking up in the middle of the night. And we're asking neighbors and friends, and we think everybody else knows what they're doing, but nobody does. So having that peace of mind would have changed everything for me.
100%. That like goes along with like my slogan for this podcast and like why I wanted to start it is Mama Knows Best. And I share a lot of things that are like controversial, unfortunately, on social media, like bed sharing and breastfeeding on demand, breastfeeding a toddler. And it's like you just have to go with your gut. And I feel like there's so many new moms that are kind of steered away from that, you know, like they should be sleeping in their own bed by now. You shouldn't be breastfeeding in public. You know, it's like everybody else's opinion is weighing in more than your own gut and intuition. And I feel like moms are just constantly like, nope, don't listen to that. Do what we're saying. Nope, don't listen to that. Do what society is telling you.
Well, we follow a lot of influencers, right? And like their influencer story, like their story, how Sadie sleeps through the night at 6 months, and they share their story, which is amazing. Like it's a great learning and education, like to hear different people's perspective. But again, yes, going with your own gut, because your baby is not the same as her baby.
Right.
And I'm on my 3rd baby now, and I'll even say within our own family, Allie versus Coda versus Frankie. Oh my gosh, they've all been so different. Sleep we've done, Allie was the best sleeper, slept through the night at 5 weeks. Coda didn't sleep through the night until he was like 1.5, almost 2. Frankie's still not sleeping through the night. And we've done all the same things that we did with Allie. So it's like, literally every baby is completely different. And the things I do with Frankie are things I would have never done with Allie just because they were different, you know?
Yeah. And you just like continue to grow and evolve as your children grow and evolve. And then you have another child and it's like, you're not even the same parent anymore. You have all this perspective and experience under your belt that you're able to apply. And it just kind of shows like we all just continue to evolve and we're allowed to change our mind. And just like you changed your mind and it's grown this entire business and movement, you know? Like I need to go feed my baby in a bathroom stall. And now it's like, actually, I don't actually, I'm going to empower every other woman around me to feed the way that they feel empowered to, covered, not covered, privately, in public, wherever you want. The last question is going to be, what is your go-to mantra to get you through hard seasons of motherhood, of business, of life, whatever you feel like most called to right now? And a mantra is kind of like a mantra, but mom style.
Something I repeat to myself often is, I'm a good mom, I'm doing my best, and it's enough.
Yeah, I love that. And it's easier said than done. So that's why you got to say it to yourself over and over and over, right? It's hard to feel like you at the end of the day, sometimes you look back and go, oh, I could have done that different. Oh, I should have reacted or responded a little different to that. But I think that.
Yeah, but us acknowledging that is even great, right? Like it's not acknowledging those things like, oh, I could have handled that situation better when she threw a fit at the library. That's what helps us grow and evolve and change and realize, okay, next time that happens, I'm going to handle that differently. So the acknowledgement is important.
Yes, absolutely. Lindsay, I have loved talking to you, and I feel like for me, it's full circle because before I had any sort of brand or voice on social media, I didn't really know what my niche was either. I had found the Little Milk Bar and I felt really empowered by what you were doing. And we were kind of both starting out in, like, you were starting the Little Milk Bar. I was kind of starting out as a mom. And so it was kind of like the start of all these things. And I just love getting to talk to you. And I love watching your brand and your mission and your message grow all over the world. And I really thank you for taking time to talk with me today. And I just appreciate you a lot and what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was good to get to know you. And I love that you have been around since 2018. Like, not very many people can say that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yep. So if anybody is looking for breastfeeding empowerment and things that you can gift to a new mom that is breastfeeding, where can we find all things Little Milk Bar? Just pimp yourself out.
So our website is thelittlemilkbar.com. And we have our Instagram, which is @thelittlemilkbar_, and then we're at TikTok with @thelittlemilkbar. We're also Facebook @thelittlemilkbar, all the fun little spots to come join us. But the best part is to just join us on social media because we just give tons of education. We have lots of fun conversations. And so even if you never even buy anything from us, it's just such a great place to come. And even if you don't engage, just be a part of it and learn, because being a new mom is so scary and hard sometimes. So we create a safe environment for everybody.
Yes, you absolutely do. All right, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Daily Mom Trip podcast. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Also, before you go, I would love you forever if you could rate and review this podcast, share with a mom friend or on social media, and be sure to tag me @MoveWithTrueLove and @DailyMomTripPod on Instagram. Again, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you soon.